And over for Filippo playing up Roaring Moon. 2 copies of Battle VIP Pass, Rabbi, and 1 Professor Research could impact Filippo getting set up. But here we do see our fist bump start the game, and Filippo is getting started here in the final of the Utrecht special event.
And going first and second is going to be so important. Who is going to take that initiative and go first? Who is going to choose to go second? We both got these decks here. I mean, Roaring Moon versus the Fusion Strike Mew. Both players will take their advantage in going second. Oh, not a fantastic Pokestop there.
I think that Pokestop in that hand means all we're going to see is an Earthen Vessel to grab 2 basic energy and attach effectively and pass, and maybe 1 use of Dire. Oh no, there's a way to even use Dire Flame Wings. Also worth noting, 2 Roaring Moon got discarded off that Pokestop.
Yeah, this is not a fantastic start from Filippo. And going back to who wants to go second, who wants to go first, Owen has the chance to go through this Fusion Strike acceleration, let's say. The Elesa Sparkle, of course, with the addition of the Fusion Strike energy. That Melodious Echo, Shay, it's looking pretty tasty on that Roaring Moon, I might say.
Yeah, we both know Meloetta has no problems reaching those 230 damage on your first turn going second, since you can attach 1 Fusion energy to get 70 damage into play, then use a Lesser Sparkle to get another 2 energy in play. That's 210. 1 Power Tablet means that Melodious Echo will be reaching at Roaring Moon numbers, as Filippo is going to discard Power Pad via the Earthen Vessel to grab 2 basic Dark Energy.
I absolutely love seeing this Fusion Strike Mew on the finals table, and especially now with Filippo possibly even taking a pass. Owen is going to be licking his lips here because, of course, from that explosive potential that these Fusion Strike archetypes, have, if he's able to get these Genesects down, draw into some additional resources, find those sparkles, find those pieces, and of course the all-important Power Tablet for this Melodious Echo, he'll be taking a 2-prize swing on his first turn.
And you know what, do you know what would be even better as well, taking just this 2-prize swing? If you could utilize an escape rope, so you could actually push that Galarian Moltres into the active, remove 1 energy, or the only energy Filippo has in play currently, while taking 2 prize cards. Because, you know, Roaring Moon is harder to set up traditionally, since you can't use that Dire Flame Wings.
Yeah, all important in this matchup as well. It's important for Filippo to keep that Dire Flames alive, only because he'll be able to utilize cards like Energy Switch to get those Roaring Moons up and running. Now, you speak about the escape rope, of course, a versatile switch option, but in this circumstance, it'll be just as effective as a gust.
Yep,
Shay.
Basically a boss's orders and a switch at the same time. Looking at Owen's hand, though, I don't see many ways to get that hand size down. I see, 2 copies of Power Tablet and a Lost Vacuum, I think. So Owen is going to conclude that Battle VIP Pass, Rabbi, by grabbing 2 copies of Genesect V, and I think there is a Mew V in hand as well as a switch.
Yeah, it's going to be integral as to how he sees this playing out. Of course, having the switch, but it's the Power Tablets that are important, because if he's using these Power Tablets now and using these important resources early on, if he's unable to secure the knockouts on this Roaring Moon, it'll mean in the later turns, this will be a very punishing play.
You are 100% correct. Those Power Tablets, you know, increasing damage by 30, but correct that Roaring Moon does have 230 hit points. It's actually quite a hard number to hit. It does require some modifiers, and obviously Choice Belt does not work into Roaring Moon.
No, of course it doesn't. And with these 2 Power Tablets now gone, Owen will definitely be trying to run through this deck even further to try and find these combination pieces to get this knockout on the Roaring Moon.
But so far, that Fusion Strike system wasn't the greatest. I see Lost City, Lost Vacuum, Mew V, and a copy of DTE. Not cards traditionally you really want to see. You want to be seeing that Ultra Ball and way to sort of get that hand down. A Lesser Sparkle and 1 copy of Fusion Energy would be ideal, but hasn't quite got there yet. So Owen's going to have to navigate these tricky Fusion Strike systems. I'm going to go for a Lost Vacuum first. Going to get rid of that Pokestop, which Owen could use, by the way, but opted not to. Just get it out of play. Going to get that Lost City into play and then immediately replace it via another Lost Vacuum. Fusion Strike system for 5, Rabbi. Here we go. Fusion Energy. Is that Elesa as well? It was.
Energy. No, it's Forest Seal Stone as well.
And the Forest Seal Stone. Oh my goodness.
Sorry, yeah, of course. So we'll be able to use the Elesa Sparkle, get energies up on that Melodious Echo, and of course the active Mew as well. And now, Shay, he'll be able to guarantee knockouts on this Roaring Moon.
Yep, and could even use Forest Seal Stone if you wanted to go after and grab the escape rope if he so desires. Going to attach the Fusion Energy to the Eiscue as well. Obviously, there is 1 Fusion Energy in hand, so Melodious Echo will be swinging for 210. Plus 60 from those two power tablets, more than enough damage as Owen Caraman's going to get straight off to the races here in our finals. Attaching that fusion energy to attach Forest Seal Stone. Are we going to see the escape rope as well? Doesn't look like it. Just going to see a murderous echo for KO Rabbi. Owen Caraman takes our first prize card here in the Utrecht Special Event Final.
A massive knockout there as well, and I really like the...
Oh, wow!
Oh, and it's an early
Let me see a quick concession there. Rabbi Filippo said, I haven't got a lot to work with here. And Owen Caraman takes game one here in our Utrecht Special Event in record time, Rabbi.
Yeah, record time. I think this is telling of a past final that we've gone through.
It really is.
The Mew Mirror, but this time it's the Roaring Moon. But of course, Owen now only one game away from taking the title here. And of course, going back to that play, I really like the attachment to that Eiscue, only because, of course, attaching it to the Mew, he doesn't really want to be attaching to other Pokemon other than these two single prizes.
Yeah.
Because Filippo has to get rid of these all-important Fusion Strike energies.
Yep.
And if he's attaching them to these more or less non-threatening single prize Pokemon, it means Filippo's forced into some tricky situations.
Yep, you're 100% correct there. Those fusion energies also mean you can attack without using double turbo energy damage reduction. We didn't quite get to see a lot of Filippo's deck here. The Roaring Moon traditionally, on paper, should be going to the Mew VMAX deck, right? You know, in theory, the Dark-type attacker can KO the Mew VMAX very easily. Won't have to use Frenzy Gouging if you can use Calamity Storm plus a Stadium. But you know what? That's what Mew VMAX can do. It just says that this might not be a great matchup, but I'm going to take prizes before you. Can you keep up?
Yeah, of course, Mew, so consistent. We know how consistent it can be with the Fusion Strike systems, and it's able to capitalize on the poor start from Filippo, and it's so punishing when you're able to take these big swinging knockouts with the Melodious Echo or even the Turbo Strike later down the line.
All right, so let's have a look at these prize cards. I had a quick peek at Filippo's start. This is infinitely better than game one. Let's consult these prize cards real quick. One copy of Power Tablet 2 Battle VIP Pass for Owen, and then for Filippo, the Water Dark Energy Switch, and one Professor Sada as well. Doesn't he play two copies? But it looks like our game two is getting started. Owen Caraman is kicking us off. Filippo needs to win this game to stay in the final and try and leave here with the title of Utrecht Special Event Champion.
Yeah, elected Owen to go first, of course. I think what Filippo is going to be hoping for is more of an explosive start than he had in his last game. Of course, going second means that he will be able to attack first. Yep. But I think the advantage that Owen has is that he does have a couple of single prizes that he can just put up in the active and say, look, if you want to get ahead of this prize race, you will have to try and gust around this. Yep,
and maybe try and utilize Escape Rope himself. So Owen might want to try and get down to one prize, just consulting Filippo's list. Doesn't actually play Escape Rope, so won't be able to utilize that. As Owen is going to play an Ultra Ball, discarding an Elesa Sparkle and a Boss's orders to grab himself a Mew V and consult the deck and try and work out what's been prized. Worth noting, Rabbi, Owen did prize 2 copies of Battle VIP Pass, so we might not see as an explosive turn one for Owen if you can't get those Genesect V down. Yeah, well, we saw how much of a problem it was for Filippo to get set up without those resources like Battle VIP Pass, without Ultra Ball, so it may come up to be detrimental for Owen's setup. However, what I like here is that, again, he does have the option to switch into those single prizes, but if he doesn't, Filippo is going to be, you know, he's going to be rubbing his hands here because the Calamitous Storm, the Frenzied Gouging, he has so many powerful attacks in his arsenal to be taking an early double prize swing. As we are going to see Owen empty the hand, play Lost City Fusion Strike system for 3, draws into Escape Rope, Mew V, and a Genesect. So prizing 2 copies of Battle VIP Pass hasn't seemed to slow Owen down too much here. Although if he does choose to bench that Mew V, there's only one bench spot open for a 1 prize, which I imagine Owen will try and put down. Does draw into the Meloetta there. Yeah, it does draw into that Meloetta, and that's going to be very important for, like I said, getting a single prizer up into the active, because what he wants to be able to, he doesn't want Filippo to get ahead of this prize race early. This, much like the feature match that we had before with the Chen Pao and the Roaring Moon, it's all about who can be aggressive here, who can have that first step into the prize race, and who can get up and running the quickest. You are correct. And with that in mind, would you actually want to put down the Meloetta and use that? Ideally, you want to try and use your Eiscue, because the Meloetta can attack, you know? So that is something worth noting. As Owen debating, going to play that Feather Ball, letting you search your deck for any Pokemon with a free retreat cost and pop it straight into your hand. So in this case, that can find Mew V or Mew VMAX. Or fail search as well if you desire.
Yeah, an important point that you made there as well. The Eiscue would definitely be the primary choice, I think, to have this kind of sacrificial lamb, so to speak, of a single prizer. And the Meloetta, of course, is going to be quite important in this matchup, only because, of course, that Melodious Echo, that all-important attack, of course, with the Fusion Strike energy, but chooses to bench it.
I think, you know, just if you wasn't to bench it, you only draw one less card there, Fusion Strike system, and saying, well, Eiscue might be best, second best is Meloetta, and I'm going to have to settle for second best right now. So I think maybe you can afford to do when you're currently one game up in a special event final. Owen did attach a Fusion Strike energy as well to the active Mew V, has used his last Fusion Strike system, as you are going to see a retreat into the Meloetta, and I imagine we'll see a quick pass.
Yeah, I really like this play. And I think the advantage that Owen has over Filippo's aggressive Roaring Moon is that he does have the potential power of disruption. He does play the Iono, he does play the path to the peak, and of course the all-important Judge. So these game plans, they can alter a bit for Owen. He doesn't have to go for the aggressive plays. He can bide his time just that little bit.
You are. No, that is a fantastic point, as it is going to be over to Filippo now. We're going to start his turn off here in our final match here at the Utrecht special event. Does have a Battle VIP Pass in hand, has led that one copy of Squawkabilly EX, which, if Filippo chooses, would allow him to discard his hand to draw 6, as it is his first turn. Looking to opt to probably do a little prize check here, maybe going for that more Pekko, but I'd imagine we'll see some Roaring Moon and some Moltres.
Yeah, I really like the more Pekko as well. Yeah? Only because the Energizer wheel will be able to take a knockout on this Meloetta, of course.
And preserve the energy as well, right? Because it pushes them away. Fantastic.
Yeah, the Energizer wheel has such great synergy in this deck. Of course, taking those 2 energy required to attack and putting it on your more bulkier Pokemon like the Roaring Moon for your later turn.
And, you know, if he was to do that, that would force Owen to try and find a boss's orders to go around that more Pekko, because you definitely don't want to be KOing that. And if you're playing boss, you're not playing Iono or Judge. So that could be a double win there for Filippo, as he does conclude that Battle VIP Pass with a Radiant Greninja and that more Pekko.
Yeah, I really like this play. I think using that more Pekko, like I said, will mean that he's asking the same question that Owen was, which was, can you gust around this? And of course, both of these players will be really aware of the prize race here. I think more than any other match, it's all about who takes that big swing first to get ahead of the race, because both decks are so consistent in getting these big attackers up and running.
As we do see the Forest Seal Stone come down there with a Galarian Moltres, so that means Star Alchemy is an option to Filippo, allowing him to grab any card from his deck via that Star Alchemy V-Star power. Now that hand does, I see some good stuff in there. I see a catcher, oh my goodness. Oh, we do see the catcher being played. Oh, it was a Tails. That could have been really impactful. We're talking about how important a prize trade is. That is one way to sneakily get ahead. Now, we do see a Dark Patch in the hand. We do see Dark Flame Wings as well. We're going to see that Dark Patch being played. I imagine that goes to Roaring Moon. Or, oh, this is interesting, actually. Do you go to the more Pekko and assume he's going to hit into the Meloetta, or do you risk it and maybe go for a catcher? It looks like Filippo saying, I'm most likely going to be using the more Pekko this time.
I really like going into the more Pekko, only because he still needs to find a switch out for this Squawkabilly.
Yeah,
so if he's able to Dire Flame Wings, find an energy switch for the more Pekko, it's only a 2 energy requirement. So at least you're increasing your odds to get an attack off on this turn.
We see some good cards there off that Squawking. I see a Pokestop, I see an Ultra Ball, I see some Trekking Shoes, and I see a Dark Patch. So I think at the bare minimum, we should be able to get that more Pekko swinging, as we are going to see that Lost City replacement potentially for that Pokestop. That's a card that we see a lot of decks play now. We see it in the Chen-Power we saw in that last game, Rabbi, as we do see the Pokestop being played. And that's a 3-hitter.
Oh, that's a 3-hitter, yeah, for sure. We saw that in our past game as well. 3 items for Filippo. Definitely on his side, that Pokestop. But I think he was trying to make the decision there as to whether he wanted to put the Pokestop down.
Yes.
He may have to find these additional combination cards, but lost zoning that Meloetta, of course, isn't a bad idea.
It's not. I mean, new decks traditionally don't play too much recovery, but I guess in one scenario, if you were to put down the Pokestop, you might want to try and keep them around for Calamity Storm, bonus damage. You're not having to use Frenzied Gouging, so that could be one reason to try and hold on to those stadiums as long as possible. As Filippo is going to play that Earthen Vessel, doing the dream of discarding 1 Dark Energy to grab 2 more, activating Dark Flame Wings and Dark Patch as well.
Yeah, and it's a good point you made about the recovery cards, because, of course, this is now when we get to the point in a tournament, especially with the final, both players will be well aware of what each other are playing and certain cards that they both may include. mode. So, you know, smart play there from Filippo.
Oh, we see a switch card off the trekking shoes there. I mean, that does get the Squawkabilly out the way. How greedy are you feeling there, Filippo? That's a good card. But are you after something else? Oh, this is a big decision. I think I'll be taking the switch card, yeah.
I definitely like this, only because, you know, it guarantees definitely the attack now from the Morpeko, only because, of course, you would have needed to attach manually to the Squawkabilly or with an energy switch in order to retreat. And, of course, with that Morpeko, that 2 energy requirements, although it sounds easy enough sometimes, it can be a bit tricky.
We do see a dark patch there onto the Roaring Moons. We're going to see the manual attachments. I imagine we're going to see an energy switch now at some point from the Moltres onto the Roaring Moon.
Interesting. Okay.
Oh, hasn't played supporter yet, so can use boss's orders, actually, to go after a 2-prizer with the Roaring Moon, because we saw Squawk and Seas as a supporter. There is a boss's orders there, Rabbi, onto the Genesect, removing some draw options, and Calamity Storm will be a big KO and remove that Pokestop and gets Filippo ahead on this prize race.
And this is a big swing. Taking the first 2 prizes of this game will be very important, but it's now a question as to, well, not Owen being able to take a knockout on this Roaring Moon, but, you know, for looking at Filippo's board, it's the secondary attacker. He does have that Galarian Moltres with that 3 energy requirement and that Morpeko, but with no other Roaring Moon on the field, he is leaving himself a little bit vulnerable here. That's why I was quite surprised with that boss play.
Yeah, no, you are correct. I guess in an ideal world, Owen would try and get a response KO with the Meloetta. That'd be devastating. But you're right, even if you were to just try and take a KO, maybe in combination with a Judge and say, have you got enough recycle? You know, put the pressure back. As well as see a Cram-o-matic, flip a coin, defense, grab any card from your deck, but we do see a Tails. That hand's not looking the greatest. I see a double turbo energy. I see a Power Tablet. Power Tablet would be needed to take a KO via Technoblast. We're going to see a Pal Pad being played here as well. So, what do you think Owen's going to try and do here? Well,
with the fact that the Meloetta is still on board now, if Filippo hadn't have taken a knockout on this Meloetta, of course, it does mean the Melodious Echo makes these knockouts on the Roaring Moon that bit easier.
Yep.
If within a lesser sparkle now, if he's able to find 2 energy, and with the energy attachment as well of another Fusion Strike energy, Melodious Echo's hitting very big numbers with no requirements for Power Tablet.
As we do see the Power Pad shuffling a boss orders and Iono, I believe. Ooh, there we see a Power Tablet, Forest Seal Stone. So whatever Owen wants to do is itching closer, being able to do it. A lot of these cards aren't playable, though, in the sense that you don't really want to be playing double turbo energy here, because if you do want to attack with Meloetta, you will need to manually attach there. We see 2 Forest Seal Stones. They don't really want to be playing Power Tablets if we don't need to be. So let's see what Owen does. Not quite the best hand, but this is the sort of hands that separate the good from the great players. You know, everyone can play Mew VMAX when you're drawing 6 cards a turn. However, when you're drawing 2 or 3, that's where it starts to get dicey.
I couldn't agree more. And of course, it's a difficult situation now for Owen with the Judge in the hand, and of course, having those 2 Power Tablets and that double turbo energy. There was definitely a decision to make as to what he wants to prioritize as his primary attacker for this turn. He definitely needs to get an attack off, but of course, not playing that Judge and having that attachment, he needs to find that Elesa Sparkle this turn.
Yeah, I guess you can still actually take a KO with the Meloetta with using the Elesa Sparkle down to those 2 Power Tablets being played. Did draw into the Fusion Strike energy there, though, so it looks like this is a Forest Seal Stone activation. Looks like that Elesa Sparkle is being targeted there.
Yeah,
and that's going to open up the door to some, well, nice damage.
Yeah, very much so. It does find 2 energy as well. Fortunate enough to not draw into them from the Fusion Strike system.
That is true. That can happen.
That can happen, unfortunately, but fortunate enough for Owen, it wasn't to be. And of course, now I can definitely see the double attachment on both the Meloetta and possibly even a Genesect or even that benched Mew.
Yeah.
Which it might be what we're seeing here, because of course, spreading these important Fusion Strike energies around the field means that Melodious Echo is always still an option.
Really is, and it's going to make it a really hard start chasing those Fusion Strike energy as well. So we are going to see 3 Fusion Strike energy in play. So that means Melodious Echo swinging for 210, minus 20. 190, and then plus 60, taking us up to 250 damage, which is going to be enough for a big clean KO as Owen Cameron says, hold up, wait a minute now. Let's even up the prize race here. And Owen takes his first 2 prize cards of this game 2 here in the Utrecht special event final.
Yeah, puts himself 2 prizes down, and this is such a great position to be in for Owen because he's got these multiple attackers set up. He has 2 Mew V on the field, both with an energy on already, and I think for Filippo, of course, it does still have that Morpeko as an attacking option against this Meloetta, but for Filippo, it's where are these other prizes coming from? I have the Galarian Moltres on the field, but now I need to start setting up these Roaring Moons.
You really, really do need to get those Roaring Moons set up, as we are going to see Filippo start to turn off there by promoting the Morpeko and playing an Earthen Vessel, discarding a Dark Energy to grab 2 more. Now, if Filippo can't manage to sort of get around this Meloetta via a boss's orders or a catcher, we'll go down to 3 prize cards left, which would mean we'll be only a VMAX KO away from winning, but then does also open the door for Owen to go 2-2 and win this game as well. So definitely all to play for.
Yeah, completely agree. And for Owen, he already has game on board. The Squawkabilly is there.
Yes.
Galarian Moltres is there. So Owen is only 2 gusts away. I don't think he'll be too mindful of this Morpeko taking an easier knockout on this Meloetta. However, for Filippo, it's mitigating that risk, whether he can find those potential disruptions like the Ionos. But of course, Owen does have the advantage with those Fusion Strike systems, Shay.
Yep, drawing cards is never a bad thing in a Pokemon TCG. Did draw into a Pokemon catcher, so we could use to see... Oh, looks like it's going to get discarded actually via an Ultra Ball, so we aren't debating it. A catcher could be quite good here, you know. Could be quite good.
It could be. It'll definitely keep him in this prize race, only because if he's able to take another 2 prizes now, he'll be in the same position that Owen was, right? Just 2 gusts away from taking the game here. We see the Ultra Ball here. I imagine it's going to be for one of those Roaring Moon.
Yep.
And that's exactly what it is.
Roaring Moon going to be integral for getting Filippo to try and win this game. Moltres is nice, but you'd rather be swinging with the Roaring Moon. So Filippo did opt to keep hold of that catcher. So it is worth noting that Morpeko will be able to retreat for 1. Its ability won't activate. Professor Sada, though, letting you attach 2 energy, well, 1 energy to each to your ancient Pokemon. And he has 1 in play, though, so that's going to be 1 energy to the Roaring Moon, and then draw 3 as well.
Yeah, and this is exactly why I liked that spreading of the Fusion Strike energy, because even though Filippo is forced to gust, there's no strong option here, really, if he wants to be knocking out Owen's potential attackers. If he takes out a knockout on the one Mew or the other, he's still leaving Owen's field with 2 Fusion Strike energy.
But it looks like we don't see any of those catches being played. We're just going to see the energy wheel, or energizer wheel, I should say, for Morpeko to KO the Meloetta, thanks to weakness, and then push those energy down to the Roaring Moon. Morpeko doing its job there, even up the prize trade, getting rid of that 1 prizer. Now over to Owen. I would imagine, Rabbi, or Benjamin, I should say, that going after a KO here, and maybe a little bit of a Judge, maybe even an Escape Rope, anything like this, or maybe just going after a 2 prizer is the way to go, right?
Yeah, thanks, Bert. Oh, sorry, Shay.
Let's go. Love that.
He will. Yeah, Owen, I think, talking about how he wants to see this game out, he will be trying to find those 2 gusting cards. He will want to find those 2 boss's orders for game. Of course, easier said than done. The Star Requiem is already used from those Forest Sealstones.
Star Alchemy?
Star Alchemy, sorry. Star Requiem, different game mode. But of course, we'll have to draw into them naturally with the Fusion Strike system.
It's going to be tough, though, if you attack with that 3 prizer. Filippo's on 3 prizes. That Roaring Moon is there, and that Dire Flame, the Aura Burn from the Moltres has no problems dealing with a Dark Weak Mew VMAX as well. So not quite out of the woods yet, as it seems.
No, certainly not. I think regardless if you gust the Moltres or the Roaring Moon, you're still leaving the field with 2 threats on board, right?
Yeah.
The Dire Flame Wings, you know, it's able to accelerate energy onto itself through that ability, but that Roaring Moon with 3 energy on, it's ready and ready
already
to
there
go,
to go, yeah. So I guess it would be a pick your poison, as it were. But Filippo does have quite a large hand, you know. We saw the concealed cards, we saw the Professor Starder's Vitality. Filippo, odds are, will be able to attack with the Moltres. So Owen in a bit of a sticky situation here. But, you know, if anyone can get out of it, how about the Dortmund regional champion and about 2 weeks later?
Of course, of course. And here we see the Mew VMAX in the active, and now Filippo will be kind of licking his lips now.
Yep.
The 3 prizer is on board now for him to be able to take the game. It's whether now Owen can find that gusting card for that Roaring Moon. I think that's all he can really ask for, because of course you won't be able to gust and play a disruption card like Judge or Iono. So I think this is the best option he has in front of him.
And I guess no Psychic Leap KO to remove the free prize doesn't really get you anywhere, because then you're just going to be on free prize cards yourself. So that's not really a needle mover. So let's see what Owen does. It does have the boss orders in hand. Does have a path to the peak as well. So that would be really impactful, doing everything you can to sort of try and stop Filippo. That does obviously turn off Dire Flame Wings, path to the peak.
It certainly does. Again, asking more resources to come out from Filippo will be his best way of winning this game. If he can take a knockout on the Roaring Moon here, I think he still needs to find another power tablet.
Just need to find a modifier.
So still needs to find another damage modifier. Still has boss in hand, but of course doesn't want to put down that path to the peak too soon if he still wants to draw from that last Fusion Strike system. And here we go, Shay.
Did we find a power tablet? Oh, the last card, Benjamin!
Nice.
Whoa! Keeping us on the edge of our seats there. Needed to find a power tablet, and that's the scary scenario. When you play the boss's orders without having a power tablet, you sort of really commit to that play. But Owen found it. Techno Blast is going to be a KO. Path to the peak, turning off Wallbox Pokemon. Abilities over to Filippo. What do we have? Well, we see a Pokestop. That's going to get Dire Flame Wings back online. There is no basic energy in hand yet.
Does have the Mew EX for restarts. Does have a research in hand, I believe, as well.
Oh, true.
So can, you know, thin out this deck even further to try and find that energy, or potentially even a dark patch here. This is going to be squeaky, Shay. This is going to be very squeaky.
This is very, very close. You could argue, you know, this turn could decide the fate. Who will leave here a champion, as it were. Ultra Ball is going to find that Roaring Moon. Remember that Morpeko in the active has a free retreat cost thanks to its ability in a hungry hurry. If it has no energy attached, it can retreat for free, as we are going to see a Pokemon catcher.
Oh, and it's a heads.
This is a heads. So going after the bench Mew VMAX, of course, because that's still going to give up free prize cards. Here we go.
Restart. And there's the dark patch.
There's the dark patch. And then we'll see Dire Flame Wings there, Benjamin. So that means Filippo can free retreat, use Aura Burn to take the KO. 1-1 here in our Utrecht special event final.
And the crowd goes wild, seeing that dark patch from that restart. Such a way to thin out the hand, of course, has all of these disposable options.
Yes.
These Pokemon catchers, these Ultra Balls. He's able to use them for maximum effect. And as well as that, of course, with that restart, find those extra cards. Although he still had research, he was able to find those resources and get those attackers back up and running.
Yeah, as we do see the crowd there, let's make some noise here for our game 3. There it is, let's go. All going down to a game 3 here. Remember, it's Filippo's birthday. Let's not forget that. And Owen Karaman's going to try his best to win this event and win Dortmund. And now Utrecht all in a row. Wow, game 3. We can't ask for more than this.
Certainly can't. And of course, now it's going to be whether who goes first. Of course, I believe it was Filippo who had gone first in our original game, so it would have meant that Owen had won the coin flip. So I'm sure it's going to be much like our first game, Filippo to go first in our last game. And now the question remains whether Owen or Filippo can have that all-important explosive start.
Yep. And in a matchup like this, it's going to be high octane, as it looks like Filippo is going to have a mulligan there. You could argue the game could be made or broke on the opening turns here. Oh my goodness. And I knew this would be an electric final. I knew when I saw this matchup, it's going to be damage here, knockouts there, here, there, and everywhere. And I'm so glad I'm here getting to talk you all through it, and with you as well, Benjamin.
Oh, thank you so much. And I couldn't agree more. As soon as I saw those two deck archetypes make the finals, I was like, oh, me and Shay are going to have such a great final. These two decks love just taking up a big swing against each other, you know?
Okay, so let's consult our prize cards there. Owen has prized 1 copy of Boss, 1 Fusion Energy, Mew VMAX, and a Genesect. Over for Filippo, 2 copies of Pokemon Catcher, 2 copies of Trekking Shoes, Battle VIP Pass, and Base Kenji. Nothing too impactful, although Fusion Energy can be really important for Mew. But it looks like our Game 3 here is getting started here in the Utrecht Special event. Filippo is kicking us off, and that hand, it looks, there are some cards there. Maybe could be seeing a Squawking Seas, I feel.
I definitely feel that as well, this Trekking Shoes.
Ooh, wow, Trekking Shoes off the top for a Battle VIP Pass. Wow.
Yeah, he's taking a walk through that deck with that.
Yeah, let's go.
VIP Pass. Trekking Shoes finding the perfect card on your turn 1. Finding those 2 Pokemon, of course, being the Radiant Greninja. Of course, that concealed cards. Great synergy in this deck. Able to discard an energy, of course, keeping those dark patches alive as well. And as soon as you find those little resources in your hand, then a Squawking Seas as well to boot. I mean, what a great start.
Yep, Filippo's going to be off to the races here. Laced up those shoes real tight and said, right, off we go. And it looks like Filippo's just going to debate on what to grab for this second target of the Battle VIP Pass. You know, I would imagine since we do have Dark Patch and a way to use it, a Roaring Moon would be an easy recipient here, as we do see that coming down.
Yeah, and what an explosive start we have here for Filippo. Still has Ultra Ball in hand as well as the Mew EX restart. We saw how important it was in the last game.
Really
of course, seeing those additional cards can make or break this first turn. So whether he needs to depend on this Mew EX is to be seen. But of course, for Owen, seeing this start isn't going to be fantastic on his side. He knows that Filippo will have those attackers up and running pretty much anytime soon. Of course, has all of those little resources, and for Owen, it's going to be whether he can deal with this problem on his first turn.
Yep, you are correct. That is Owen's probably thinking, oh my goodness, this is getting off to the races here a little bit. As you're going to see that Mew EX come down, or maybe not. Ultra Ball being played, going to get rid of Iono and Pokemon Catcher, 2 cards that aren't really too useful this turn. And I wonder, would this be finding, oh, maybe not, would be going for the Squawkabilly here? I mean, that hand outside of that isn't aggressive. I wouldn't want to rely on Mew here.
No, I wouldn't either. I think for Filippo, his priority here is to try and get your attackers, you know, kind of having the energy accelerated on all your attackers and settling that board state as early as possible. You know how disruptive all of these kind of Judge and Iono plays can be to these fragile, aggressive decks. So if Filippo is able to set up as early as possible with all of these combination pieces, it's only to his advantage.
As we are going to see Darflame Wings there, we're going to see a manual turn attachment of a Water Energy to the Roaring Moon. I mean, that is perfectly fine. You know, both Frenzy, Gouging, and Calamity Storm have a colorless energy in their cost. And we're just going to see a pass, Rabbi. So no Squawkabilly used yet. No
Squawkabilly used this turn. Maybe seeing that is too much of a risk to play against Owen.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, it's an easy 2 prize cards to take. Now, what I would have loved to have seen is a potential single prize Pokemon come into the active. We know now with that Galarian Moltres in the active for Filippo, it's very, very vulnerable to these Melodious Echo plays. And for Owen, there are 2 prizes on Filippo's side of the field. So for Owen, his prize mapping strategy is already there.
It really is. Over for Owen as he kicks off his first turn in our Game 3 feature match here in the final of the Utrecht Special event. Owen debating on what to grab here. I imagine we're going to see a Genesect and a Mew V. Could even see the Meloetta coming down nice and early, since that is going to be, I would imagine, Owen's go-to. Worth noting, Owen did prize a copy of Fusion Energy, so that's going to make Melodious Echo a little bit harder, because you do have to find 1 to attach from your hand per turn to pull off that Melodious Echo 2 prizes. But as we do see that Meloetta coming down, so Owen, woo boy, look at that hand as well. Sorry, I see some Elesa Sparkle. We're going to go for it first.
Yeah,
interesting.
That's the first piece to the puzzle. And of course, with their Cram-o-matic in hand as well, it could be a potential heads to find that last Fusion Strike energy available to him. Still need to switch out, of course, with the Genesect having been started as well. And of course, does not want to rope because, of course, it does have
have the Fusion Strike Energy in hand already. That was the thing. Why are we going for the Elesa Sparkle first? Makes it harder to draw into it. Had it in hand already. So we still need to find a switching card, you're correct, and a modifier here as well. Since Murderous Echo with 3 Fusion Energy in play deals 210 damage, Moltres has 220 HP, so it'd be 10 off. So a little cheeky Power Tablet or Choice Belt here would get the KO for Owen, as we are going to find ourselves another Genesect V.
I think what's important here as well is that switch out doesn't want to be an escape rope.
No, definitely
Only
not.
because Filippo will be promoting that Radiant Greninja, and he won't be taking this big 2-prize swing that is required. And there's the escape rope.
There's the escape rope.
Very awkward.
Oh, don't want to be using that if you can avoid it. How many copies of Switch does Owen actually play? Only one. So most likely we're going to see a Cram for it or a Forest Seal Stone. This could be a very important Cram because, like I say, we do not want to play that escape rope. That's going to nullify the point of using Meloetta, since Filippo will dance that Radiant Greninja straight into the active if that escape rope comes down. So what are we going to do?
Debating the escape rope, knowing that he doesn't really want to be using this.
Here we go. Oh, and his heads! Owen Cameraman rolling the dice there, getting the heads. Will be able to search his deck for any card he likes. I imagine Switch is going to be high up on there. Does still need to find a modifier here as well, but it's much easier to find. It's much easier to find a modifier because you play more of them. Since Owen plays 1 copy of Switch, let's pluck that out now and hopefully draw into that Power Tablet at a later date.
Yeah, and still has different options to find those damage modifiers. Can draw into the Power Tablet, of course, but not having to use Forest Seal Stone yet, as well as, of course, different Cram-o-matics as well. There are still different options for Owen to find this last piece of the puzzle.
Yep, wow, what a Cram that was. The heavy ball can obviously be insta-played as well. And let's just see what Owen has there. Is there a Genesect V in there? There is! That's going to be another use of Fusion Strike system as well. Come in the clutch there, that Hisuian heavy ball. And then get to consult the prizes as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And we're forgetting another damage modifier that can be used on this Galarian Moltres V. It's Choice Belt.
It really is.
Of course, another tool card that can be utilized here for Owen. If he's able to attach that one of the many, or use one of the many damage modifiers, he'll be taking...
And there's the Power Tablet, Benjamin. There it is. Does even have a path to the peak if he so desires to slow down those Rulebox Pokemon abilities. Might not have a staging replacement in hand yet or a Lost Vacuum, so might want to hold off on that. But at the very least, it starts a Fusion Strike system to go.
Yeah, this is a fantastic turn from Owen.
That really is.
Able to take 2 prizes as early as this now. Filippo only with a Water Energy attached to the Roaring Moon and a Mew EX with a Greninja as well. His board state isn't looking fantastic going into his next turn.
As we are going to see that Melodious Echo for the KO. That's going to be Owen Cameraman on the board there with 2 prize cards. Filippo has a hurdle to jump over here. And here's the sort of quote-unquote annoying thing. You have to deal with this Meloetta realistically. Sure, maybe if you can go after the bench Mew, the Fusion Energy, you have to do that as well. But that Meloetta has no problem swinging again.
No, you have to knock it out. You're completely correct. And I think now leaving that Meloetta on the board would only be too much of a risk. Because, of course, Melodious Echo is still attacking for 140. There are still damage modifiers within the deck that Owen can use to take another 2 prizes with it.
And you can always just attach another Fusion Strike Energy, and then you're back at that 210 breakpoint straight away. Over to Filippo, that has promoted that Mew EX. Does have a free retreat cost, of course, so you can plan your turn out here. Does have a Dark Patch in hand and a Dark Energy in hand as well, so can get that Roaring Moon set up. As it looks like we are going to see as an Ultra Ball for that Morpeko.
Yeah, the Morpeko might be the option here
of course.
Try and sort of manage this prize race a little bit more effectively. If he's able to use the Energizer wheel on that Meloetta, at least he's only giving up the 1 prize card on his next turn.
Yeah, this could start to get dicey for Filippo here. Would like to try and get a 2 prize if possible. We are going to see the Morpeko getting set up. A restart for 2 cards here. I see a Professor's Research, though, and a Catcher. Yeah,
and I think that's an Iono as well.
And an Iono, yes.
Yes. I quite like the Iono here, actually. You know, putting Owen down to 4 cards in hand is only going to add that little bit more of a disruptive element to Owen. For sure. And, of course, if he's going to be attacking with this Morpeko, he does not want Owen to find this Gust.
No, definitely not. You don't want any Boss Orders coming down there for Owen. Well, no, Owen did prize 1 copy of Boss's Orders, unless he did take it. Let me just quickly confirm that. No, he did not. So the Boss Orders is still in the prize cards. So keep an eye on that, as it does look like Filippo's going to play an Ultra Ball here. And I imagine it's going to find, what, maybe a Moltres to start trying to get Dire Flame Wings online.
Yes, and you are completely correct. With that Galarian Moltres being knocked out on the last turn, it's so important, this Dire Flame Wings. It's such a great utility card.
It really is.
For this engine, only because you're able to utilize those energy switch cards.
Yep.
Dire Flame Wings, energy straight from the discard pile, and E-switch, and it all comes together for this Roaring Moon.
As we are going to see a Pokestop there. Getting rid of a Boss's Orders, get rid of energy, but does get an Earthen Vessel. Now, Earthen Note, we did see that Boss's Orders be really impactful in game one, and that one has been sent to the discard pile. I think we actually saw the Pal Pad get discarded earlier this turn as well, so that Boss's Orders is going to stay on that discard pile, at least for now.
Yeah, no other Gust other than Pokemon Catcher.
Yep.
Not a fantastic place to be. Of course, you will require flipping heads to guarantee that Gust, which isn't fantastic, especially when you're staring down quite a scary single prize Pokemon like the Meloetta.
Yep, as we are going to see that Earthen Vessel concluding there, grabbing a Dark Energy and a Water Energy as well. So I think Filippo's done everything he can realistically here so far. Got the Morpeko going down, well, got it down with energy. We'll be able to attack. Energizer will move as energy as well, back onto the Roaring Moon, I would imagine. As we are going to see Greninja going to conceal cards, draws into a Pokestop and a Roaring Moon.
Yeah, I definitely like the Morpeko play, only because, like we mentioned earlier, the Energizer wheel would at least start accelerating energy onto these benched Roaring Moon for further powerful attacks in the later turns. And at least if Filippo's able to manage this prize race a little bit more effectively by giving Owen no option but to take a single prize, at least Filippo has the option then to take out big knockouts against these Mew VMAX that are potentially coming.
Yep, you are correct, as Filippo is going to do that Energizer wheel, takes one prize card, let's over to Owen, who promotes that Mew V, of course, has a free retreat cost.
Yeah, of course. And what Owen will definitely be trying to find here is that Gust, like we mentioned.
Yep.
If he's unable to find the Gust, it of course means that he'll be evolving into a VMAX, taking out a Morpeko, and that's not what he wants to be seeing, only because that VMAX is so vulnerable in this specific matchup because of that Dark Weakness trait.
It really is. Mew VMAX win hit for Dark Weakness. Even the Moltres can have a little go there and one-shot it via Aura Burn. So, yeah, definitely don't want to be doing that, especially for one prizer. And I thought, nope, that is a Judge getting discarded via Escape Rope. Lost City coming down. Fusion Strike system. Here we go. I see Path. I see Fusion. Not Fusion. Forest Hill Stone, I should say. Well, there's the boss as well!
Doesn't even need to find the Forest Seal Stone.
Goodness gracious me. Someone needs to check the fire alarms here because Owen is drawing that fire.
Yeah, and with that boss's orders in hand, of course, we'll be able to find that all-important Gust onto these vulnerable two-prize Pokemon. But unfortunately now, he will need a damage modifier if he wants to knock out these Dark-type of Pokemon. Yep. But of course, that Mew EX is so vulnerable against these Turbo Strike. According to Owen now, of course, he won't need any damage modifiers for that easy knockout.
Does still need to find the... Well, an energy, actually, funny enough, and the Mew VMAX, but does have two Power Tablets, does still have two uses of Fusion Strike system as well. We are going to see a boss's orders. Let's see where this goes. Got to be Roaring Moon. Whoop. There it goes.
Yeah, I think now that you have two Power Tablets in hand, at least you can guarantee knockout on the bigger threat.
Oh, wait, we have the energy. And an Ultra Ball as well. Oh, my goodness gracious me. Those are some well-trained Genesect V.
Yes, of course, now having knockout against this Roaring Moon, and I really like the attachment to the Mew with no energy, of course, attached to it already. Knows that there's still a Fusion Strike energy somewhere, whether it's in the prizes or in the deck, of course. I think, yeah, it's still in the prizes. So at least keeping that fresh Mew V on the field.
Yeah, and does have the Box of Disaster on that one as well. So if Filippo was to KO it via Galarian Moltres V, Aura Burn, or Calamity Storm, would actually put some damage counters back on the attacking Pokemon, maybe taking the pressure off finding more modifiers at a later date. Yeah,
it may come up relevant. We know how unfortunate it is to manage these high HP requirements for Mew. Of course, doesn't really want to be needing to find these damage modifiers if possible. Yeah. But of course, with this Box of Disaster, it may come up relevant.
I think, wow, Owen's done everything he can this turn. Wow, I'm very impressed. Pal Pad, but we're going to shuffle in. What we're going to see at the boss's orders, get that straight back in the deck, just in case.
I think the boss's orders is definitely going to be the priority here, only because he's not guaranteed to take it off the prizes when knocking out this Roaring Moon, and he knows that he needs another Gust in order to take game. So, yeah, smart plays here from Owen.
Let's see what Owen tries to do. It does have some tool cards there. That choice belt, not terribly helpful when it's hitting into the Galarian Moltres. So let's just get that attached, get it out the hand, so we can maybe draw some cards in a later date. Get it out of the deck in case of Iono. So we're going to see a free retreat now from that Mew V. And we're going to see a Techno Blast for the KO as Owen Cameraman goes down to 2 prize cards left. Filippo needs to do everything he can to stop that happening, as that Roaring Moon does have to get sent to the Lost Zone because Lost City is in play.
Yeah, and this is great premonition from Owen. So now that he's taking this Fusion Strike energy off the field, not attaching this Turbo Strike energy to the active with that Fusion Strike energy attached, at least now he has the second attacker ready, raring to go.
Yes.
And with that choice belt attached, he's going to be able to take 2 easy prizes against that Galarian Moltres V if Filippo is somehow able to take out this Mew EX off the field.
All right, let's see what Filippo can do here. Should have a fairly easy KO lined up, realistically speaking. Ideally would want to do it with a Roaring Moon, but Galarian Moltres would be sufficient as well.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting few turns now for Filippo. It's whether he wants to prioritize knocking out this Mew VMAX or maybe taking a different option, maybe knocking out the one with the choice belt attached to it. So it at least requires Owen to find some additional resources and damage modifiers in order to take another knockout on one of the 2 prizes. So I think a Gust play might be the option, because at least with 5 prize cards remaining, he has no other option to take either the 3 prize or the 2 prize Pokemon. If it's quite tricky situation here for Filippo. It completely depends on what he sees as the bigger threat moving forward.
Really is. You know, you are correct there. So let's see what Filippo does decide to do. It does still have concealed cards available. We did see a Dark Patch attachment and a Dire Flame Wings. We are going to see a Pokestop, and obviously a Dark Patch and a manual attachment. Restart here for 2 cards. I saw a Dark Patch and I saw a Judge. A Judge isn't bad.
Yeah, Judge definitely adds that added level of disruption, to Owen, putting him down to 4 cards in hand, would at least, you know, ask some more questions of whether he can get those important cards for next turn. But of course, with 3 Fusion Strike systems on board, it would be a lot to ask.
But sometimes what you can do is make your opponent answer as many questions as possible. Judge might be the way, at least with Filippo's hand, might be the best option. We do see a Dark Patch being played here. I imagine it's going to go to, to the Galarian Moltres V.
Yeah.
And just debating whether to play that Judge.
He's definitely debating on whether to play the Pokemon Catcher as well. I think that, you know, there's no risk to knocking out a 2 prize Pokemon.
Yeah, for sure.
He is still on 5 prizes. So at least knocking out that Mew V with the Fusion Strike energy, it does require Owen to find more damage modifiers with the Mew VMAX with the double turbo energy. I think this is what I was kind of trying to explain. With he has no, it's not that he has no other option. He still has to take knockouts, but of course it's whether he wants to ask questions of Owen to find resources or take out the bigger immediate threat of this Mew VMAX.
And as we do see the Judge concluding there, we're going to see a retreat into the Roaring Moon. Okay. We do see a Stadium as well, so a Calamity Storm will be online. Dark Flame Wings activation there.
Yeah, definitely like that. Of course, still has now that Owen's, of course, on only 2 prizes remaining. You know, Filippo only really needs 2 attackers on board now.
As that was a Pokestop activation there, I'm assuming. I think they're just debating, has he used that before? I don't think he has.
No, he hasn't got rid of a Stadium for this turn, I don't believe.
No, so just going to conclude this Earthen Vessel here. Going to grab 2 Dark Energy from the deck. Oh my goodness, this is so close.
It's close because now that Filippo is going to be taking a knockout on this VMAX, it's whether Owen can find that energy, it's whether he can find that Mew VMAX, and of course, find that all-important damage modifier. Oh,
the Box of Disaster, wait, the damage modifier.
The Box of Disaster.
Can Owen, there's a VMAX, just need energy now, Elesa Sparkle, we know there's 1 energy in the deck. Owen Cameraman is our Utrecht special event champion, fresh off the hill of winning Dortmund regionals. Here he goes again, Benjamin. What a final that was.
What a final it was. And just like you said, that Box of Disaster came up relevant in the end.
Yeah.
With that additional 80 damage, Owen didn't require any further damage modifiers, and already having the VMAX and Elesa Sparkle in hand would have meant that he was able to take a knockout with a nice little turbo strike.
Wow, and the Elesa Sparkle and that Judge shuffling away. That Fusion Strike energy, meaning Elesa can just pluck it out of the deck. The Judge wasn't on Filippo's side there, as Owen drew everything